new shocks from Detroit Axle. They came very quickly. It's Monday afternoon and they arrived. I think I ordered them either Thursday or Friday night, and individually wrapped in a nice heavy duty box. There's the part number and the manufacturer date. They've got the retainer firmly wrapped around them along with a plastic cover over the top. I've had products from Detroit Axle before and they've always held up pretty well. I've used mostly front end parts from them in the past. Ball joints, tie rods, control arms, links, things like that. Alright, the first step is going to be to access the top of the shocks. So we're going to have to pull up this trim panel that goes across the back. And you just reach your fingers under it and work along it, smartly pop it out until we can pick this up and set it aside. It's just held in with some plastic tabs. There's like 6 plastic tabs across that hold it in place. We need to remove these side panels because the top of the shock is right up in this area here. Now, if I remember right, we need to flip the seat down in order to loosen the panel in the front and in the back. So let me go flip that seat down on the driver's side. We'll start with that side because there's less junk in there, and we'll move on from that point. The official instructions say to remove the sill pad here as well because the back panel tucks up underneath it. So we're going to pop that out like that, and then we're going to remove the trim plug that's in there, lift this up, and then this should start to come loose at that point. Alright, there's just below the striker plate there's a latch or a snap, and just right below the pillar trim here there's another snap there. And once we've got these two loose, we can go around the back and start working the rest of the way across. Probably be able to do these by hand, but let's find out. So we got a hand here. We're going to just pop that out, and then there's going to be a few more here, no doubt. Let's peel this rug back on the bottom so we can have a nice, more secure. There we go. There's the hybrid battery underneath it all. Alright, we'll start working it this way. We'll work our hand up here. Okay, snap, snap, snap. And then it all just comes apart. And that gives us complete access now to the top of the shock absorber and the mounting hardware right there. So we're going to put a impact gun on here, and we're going to hit it real hard and see if it comes right off. If it doesn't come right off, we'll put a wrench on top and a wrench on here. Hold this steady while loosening the nut, because that's just on that's your top of your shock right there. And if it's rusted on there tightly, it'll actually try to spin the whole thing instead of coming loose at the nut. And we're going to need a 15, let's see if we can get it in there, 15 millimeter deep well socket to fit the original nut on top of the shocks. I've noticed some of the aftermarket shocks use a different size nut, but we're going to put that on there. It's a 15. We're going to bring our impact gun out here. We're going to hit that and see if it'll pull it open. We're going to try it using my little 3/8 inch DeWalt impact, 20 volt. It works really well for small things. It'll even get some lug nuts off, but anything really stronger, I've got a bigger one that does like 400 foot-pounds of torque, but this should be good enough for this because the standard torque on these nuts is supposed to be 30 foot-pounds. But if it's rusty or if someone put it on too tight, it may or may not take it off. Let's find out. All right, here we go. Look at that, spun it right off. And there's our top bushing with the spacer, or the bushing cup. And now you can see that that shock is just coming right up through the frame. And kind of good to see this because there's no rust around here other than a little surface rust you see from the bottom side of the rubber boot and the nut, but there's really no rust around here at all. We don't have to be worried about this breaking off anytime soon. And honestly, that was more of an issue on the 05 through 07 models. It doesn't seem to be as common on the 2008 through 2012 models. Now, with that off, the next step is to go underneath and remove the single mounting nut and the long bolt that go from the bottom of the shock. And going underneath, I got my 1/2-inch drive socket set. All right, this ended up being a, I don't know if you can see it there, the lighting's kind of off, 24 millimeter. And we're going to put it right on that end of that nut there. Now we've torqued the bottom mounting nut down to 125 foot-pounds. The specs I saw online range from 111 to 128, so 120 would be just fine. Then we cut the retaining strap, slipped the lower bushing and cup over, and then guided it up to the hole here. You can see we're still not quite dead center in the hole. Got to pull it over a little, make sure that rubber bushing is right up into the gap here. There we go. Now our rubber bushing coming from the bottom is sticking up through the frame. We're going to clean this off a little bit. And then the top bushing, you can see there's a big side and a small side. The big side faces the body. So on the bottom, when we put this on, we put it on with the big side facing up. And now on the top one, we'll put it down with the big side facing down. And that acts as a sandwich to grab the frame and hold it tight. And then the retainer cup goes on with the bevel facing downward. And then the nut goes on next. Run it down tight. And then we'll torque that to 30 foot-pounds. If you remember when we were taking it off, I said the top nut was a 15 millimeter, but the replacement nut for these Detroit axle ones are 17 millimeter for the top. The replacement nut for this is 17 millimeter. So you'll have to have a 15 and a 17 if you're going to do the job with Detroit axle parts. We're going to tighten this down to 30 foot-pounds now. All right, I'm stopping at a little over 20 foot-pounds because we can see we've got a substantial squish going in the bushing, and I don't know how accurate my torque wrench is, so we're going to stop it at a little over 20 foot-pounds. The passenger side is the same setup. You got to pull the side panel off, and the upper shock mount is right down there. The only difference is behind it you have all of your components for your deluxe audio system if you have the upgraded package. If you have a base package, the side panel will be a little bit different shape, and there'll be a couple storage pockets back here. But there's your amplifier and your bass speaker. I guess that'd be a tweeter speaker. So, and of course your jacks back there behind this cutout right here. And there's your speaker grill. So, same process, just thought I'd show you what the speaker system looks like back here. Alright, that job's done. All back together. You could do this yourself in about an hour and a half, I'd say. Didn't even jack it up or take off a wheel. See? Let me just show you the old shock. The one on the driver's side is actually in good shape still. I'm going to save that just in case one of the new ones should break. But look at this one here. See, the bushing on the side was totally split and falling off. And if you look close, you can see the oily residue and dirt on it. It was actually leaking from up inside. So it's still got some spring to it. It's not totally dead, but it just, the first 2 inches just drop right down with no pressure at all, and then another couple inches after that. So it really wasn't getting any support at all on the passenger side. So I'm glad we changed it. You don't want a shock that's as a loose mount or lack of support causing your suspension to bang around underneath. You could do it yourself as long as you got a breaker bar and the right size sockets I told you about here. And it's not that hard at all. Save yourself a ton of money by doing it yourself. Cost me $56 for the new shocks. If you had taken this to a shop, there's no doubt in my mind you would have been probably $300 before you got out the door. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Oh, there I am in the reflection. Bye for now.